YouTube, Scarpad's domain, and Happy New Year. Happy 2023. As we celebrate with you the top 10, what we feel is the top 10 movies of the year in the genre of horror. It was a tough one, let me tell you. There's movies that aren't on my list that probably maybe almost should have been. And if we went to a top 20, would have been. But it was such a tough year because there was so many good horror movies, either in the theater or direct to video. Believe it or not, there's some of those on my list that it makes it very hard to choose. I know I spent a long time moving shit around my list a little bit, but then I just locked it in. And another man that was having a hard time deciding, this is my co-host, Dylan. How's it going, Dylan?
What up?
Happy almost 19, was it 2024? 19, man, I'm old. 2024 almost. Can you believe that?
I can't, bro. It's crazy.
It's amazing. It was a good year for movies, and even shit was coming out. Even toward the end of the year, we're talking about all the horror movies that came out for Christmas this year. At least 3 or 4 horror movies came out for Christmas this year. It was crazy. And you even got things like that were kind of loose horror movies, like the one with Nicolas Cage, Dream Scenario. Very loose.
That was
very loose, but probably almost could have been on. Almost could have been on. And it was a really good movie. And maybe would have made my list if it came out a little bit earlier. But there's a lot of comedy to that, too. Dark comedy, but comedy nevertheless.
If it had more horror in it.
A24, leave it to that. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, great. We'll have to talk about that at some point.
Yeah, I wish it had a little bit more of the horror atmosphere to it.
But I tell you, it was a tough year. We just making this list, it took me a good solid 2.5 hours sitting down, not only, looking at all the year's movies, but just, boiling it down to these 10. And we're going to give 3 honorable mentions at the end, too, that didn't quite make the list, but for me, for us, they should have. So we're going to start off with Dylan. Dylan's going to bring us on with number 10. So, Dylan, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your number 10 movie of the year was?
Like I was telling you, my top 5 was pretty 1 to 5 was pretty locked in, and then 6 to 10 was a little bit harder because, like you said, there was a lot of good stuff. But I ended up putting my number 10 with a Kevin Williamson script. It was that Peacock original, never got a movie theatrical release, just straight to Peacock. That movie, Sick.
Wow.
And
that blindsided me.
Yeah, I had a feeling it would. I actually had it higher up, but then I decided to move it because I actually I'm a big whodunit slasher guy. I grew up loving Scream and all that.
So why did you like this movie? Why do you like it?
It was really good, dude. First off, it's Kevin Williamson coming back to write a new script, and what was it? It went on about a lot of the stuff we had going on at the time.
I didn't see the movie. So what's the movie about?
You didn't see it? Oh, dude. Yeah, dude, you gotta check that out. It was a really good slasher, and these girls go out to a cabin, like out remote, to kind of get away because they're trying to they're trying to like kind of distance themselves from people so they don't get sick, and they stay away from the virus. And they have this party in college right before, and supposedly, I don't really want to spoil it, but supposedly somebody gets sick and dies. And basically they kind of, after that, they distance themselves and they try to get away from the virus, and then people start coming after them, you know what I mean? So it was dude, I thought that was actually a pretty damn good movie. I almost want to just tell you, but I don't want to spoil anybody. But yeah, there's no theatrical release, but a Kevin Williamson script, and it was a cool slasher, very small. They go out to a cottage, and they start getting knocked off one by one, and it was one of those college films. They're smoking, getting high, partying. But I thought that it really surprised me because I had this was like I think like I think it was it this year or the year before, we're getting all these Peacock original horror, like Blumhouse movies, like They,
Yeah,
Them. Um,
right.
there's a couple of those Kevin Bacon ones. I forget it was a Blumhouse one. And so when I heard about this, I was like, oh, this is gonna be another one of those like very mid run of the mill movies. And then I found out Williamson was attached to it, and I really enjoyed it. Um, I was really surprised by it, and I thought, with everything we had going on with COVID at the time, I thought it hit pretty hard to home, man, and it had a really cool twist to it. So yeah,
Yeah, it's very interesting. So interesting that a lot of the movies on my list, and probably your list, were non-theatrical releases this year.
yeah, and that's a crazy thing.
Because we had great movies in the theater, but man, we had great movies just
Oh,
coming directly to streaming too.
and me and you, we are theater buffs, so it's like we go to these movies day one, for
Well, I'm
anything.
glad to see it because it wasn't too long ago when you tuned into like a Shutter movie or something. You
Yeah,
say, "Well, this is gonna blow," and
yeah.
they did because a lot of them blow. They have so
Oh,
many
dude,
awful movies,
I've had Shudder since day one, bros,
but
and they used to be so bad, and
but they're really
it's a
starting to hit a streak where they're getting some good
it was
stuff on there and Peacock and Hulu.
they're
All
getting
these
good,
people
man.
are getting good horror
I
films on
that's
there.
why I always recommend Shudder, because for $5 a month, dude, I mean, they come out some really great stuff, and, I'm pretty sure we have one of those, movies on our
Yeah,
list, so
right. Cool. I'll have to check
that's
out Six because
100%.
that does sound like a decent movie.
Yeah, check it out, dude. Especially if you're a Scream fan,
Yeah.
Kevin Williamson coming back, and, I thought, "Oh, he's gonna be some run-of-the-mill shit." It was a good watch.
Cool.
Good watch.
All right, my number 10 is a movie that I didn't think maybe initially I was going to put on this list, but the more I thought about it,
Yeah.
we don't have too many monster movies on this list, on my list at least. And one of the genres going back to the 70s that I used to love that we don't see nearly enough is the animal horror film, Cujo, When Animals Attack, Grizzly, Day of the Animals, all this type of stuff. And I didn't think originally because we made fun of this movie. We saw the theatrical trailer briefly, and then when I watched it at home, it's Cocaine Bear. I love this movie because Cocaine Bear brings you
I didn't
back.
even think of that. I didn't think of that as a
Yeah,
horror. That might have been, like, in
yeah,
the
'cause
top
Cocaine Bear brings you back to those animal attack
I
movies in the
just bought it on
70s
Blu-ray. It was like
that
6 bucks.
didn't really, it didn't really, you know, it, it mixed horror, it had pretty decent gore, pretty decent horror scenes, but then it mixed that with some very black and dark comedy, and got into the whole animal going mad type thing, and then at the end finding out why the animal's doing this. I just loved. I doubted that Elizabeth Banks, who directed this, would be able to pull it off, but I think she did a pretty decent job by balancing the comedy and the horror of this movie and just the great 70s vibe we get from it. Really a throwback movie to the 70s and 80s. So it really surprised me. It was a big surprise, and it was a
Yeah.
big
Big
modest hit.
surprise, I think, to a lot of people,
And
honestly.
it spawned a lot of mediocre
Yeah.
cocaine
Cocaine
leopards and
Shark.
all this other bullshit. But
Yeah.
this one is actually pretty
Even
decent. It's
on the documentary too. Peacock, when
yeah,
they released the movie on Peacock, they came with a documentary
yeah,
too.
yeah. It's a very fun movie to watch, and I recommend it if you haven't seen it. So
One
my
of
number
Ray Liotta's last films too.
Ray, I think it was Ray Liotta's last
I
film
mean,
was
dude,
that.
just for that, you gotta commend it,
Yeah,
and Ray
it was
Liotta is
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, but we had some other good other good
I
actors in
didn't
the
even
movie
think
too.
about that as a horror. I think of that more as dark comedy, so
Yeah, I think it's definitely in the horror vibe.
kinda
So
like a monster movie.
yeah. So Cocaine Bear is my number 10. So I guess you're number 9, Dylan. Tell us what it is and why you put it on there.
My number 9, which I almost didn't even have this on my list, but I go Last Voyage of the Demeter, which me and you both saw day one in theaters. I think the atmosphere of this movie was pretty cool. I loved, the whole, just that's always been my favorite part of the novel is, the boat ride, the Demeter ride from Transylvania to England. And I love that they kind of set this to that point, and they gave Dracula a whole different look and made him look like a creature. And I think that it wasn't perfect by any means, but this is that type of movie that me and you kind of, if you want, go check our review out. It's a spoiler review, but we kind of had said like we don't get movies like this very often, if ever anymore. And it was very refreshing to see kind of a old school creature monster movie. You know what I mean? Like like homage to Universal monsters, but with a twist where they made, instead of it just being classic Dracula in a cape, it was this creature. And I love the atmosphere, that all the scenes on that freaking on that boat, and it's raining the whole time. I just love stuff like that where it's very claustrophobic and there's nowhere for them to go because they're stuck on this boat. And I thought that was the atmosphere in that movie alone is what drives that movie. And I thought it was a lot of fun. I wish it got a 4K too, man. It did get a nice Blu-ray at least, because I know one movie on here,
Right.
still no Blu-ray release.
Yeah, unfortunately,
fingers crossed.
the movie did bomb at the theater. It was one of those that there was a lot of negativity surrounding it,
Yeah.
and but it's too bad. A lot of the movies did bomb this year.
Yeah,
That
it wasn't perfect by any means, but
deserved better.
I had fun with it. So there might have been a couple other movies like Infinity Pool. I might say that's a better movie, but I'm not gonna go back and watch Infinity Pool like I would.
Right. Yeah, Last Ways to me, it was kind of a fun
Because
film.
Infinity Pool actually was like at one point was number 10 on my list. You know what I mean? But it's like my list is gonna be more of movies that, yes, they are great, but also I think about my rewatchability, because if I'm gonna watch the movie once and never watch it again, you know what I mean? That's something that always said like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good movie, but I'll never watch. Just like Oppenheimer, like, yeah, that
Right.
was a good movie, but I'll never watch it again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's all. That's something that I
Yeah,
think.
why I haven't bought for my thing. I still haven't watched it. I'll get to it eventually. I know it's probably a great movie, but I still haven't watched it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, every one of my movies on my list are ones I would definitely watch more than once.
Exactly.
All right, my number nine is a movie. When it comes to horror movies, I'm not I know some people go gaga over them. I'm not a huge religious movie type fan. I do like them. I
Yeah.
do watch them. I do appreciate them. Things like Exorcist and so forth. So my number nine is Nun 2.
Nice.
I really like this movie. I think it's a definite improvement on the first film. I'm glad they brought back the original actress to play as Sister. What's her name? Sister something? I forget her name.
Irene.
Sister Irene. And I like the first one. The first one had, I think, maybe a little bit better atmosphere, but this started building the myth around the nun, why she's there. It had some cool shots. I appreciated the woman that played Sister Irene. Also, the guy who played the lead in this as well. From the last film, he continues on.
Maurice really
Maurice was really good.
Yeah, he really.
I thought the whole movie was well done. It was scary, I think, this time with some of the shots of the nun.
Yeah, they focused on the nun fully instead of.
Yeah, and they went back and they went more into the lore, a little bit of the lore, setting up the tables for maybe Nun 3.
Yeah.
And the movie did pretty well at the box office. I saw it in the movies. I enjoyed it in the movies, and it's one I picked up on Blu-ray and 4K, and I would pick it up again. So number 9 for me would be the Nun 2. Yeah.
Hell yeah. My number 8, man, surprisingly, I almost did not have this on my list because as much as I did enjoy it, I really have not rewatched this one as much. I don't know if I kind of just got a little phased out on this genre because I have rewatched the movie so much, and I kind of got a little upset with how the sixth one ended. Scream 6 is my number 8, and I kind of got a little. I will always love this entire series, and I do really enjoy Scream 6, but it is so high up, and I almost overlooked it, and I was almost going to put Totally Killer on instead of Scream 6. I ended up popping that one off because I still think this is a great movie, and I love the New York atmosphere, but the ending and those two characters coming back like nothing happened really sours it out for me, where I'm just like, there is like no stakes, where it's like these people get stabbed and then they come back, and I was like, it doesn't even look like they got
Yeah,
injured.
I mean, all the
You
all
know?
the Scream movies had a certain amount of plot armor for the main characters, but you
Yeah,
never,
but I
but
mean,
you did
even
kind of
in
feel they
Scream
could
2,
die.
like, what's his
You
name? Jamie
right,
Kennedy, he got
right.
murked in Scream 2, and it's like,
Yeah,
you know,
you
he would've
feel they
thought that
could
he
die
would
in the
never
other
die.
movies, and the peripheral characters certainly. Here, there's no consequence,
Yeah.
and yeah, I hear you.
And yeah, they almost said they make you think that Dewey was killed in the first one, and then they really killed Jamie Kennedy. So with the Wes Craven ones, there was a little bit more at stake, but it was nothing like in Scream 6. And I almost feel like people are gonna think, well, why if you didn't really like I really did enjoy it, but it was really just that ending part that I did not care for. I was a huge fan of Scream 5. I mean, Robbie shits on it nonstop, and I always have advocated how great that film was. And I think Scream 6, you know, continues that on. And if not, like I don't know if I'd say it's better than 5, but it was really just that ending where they should have just killed like at least one of those siblings. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? At least one of them, and I'd been there. But I was like,
or
for the
maybe even a background character too.
yeah, man. And honestly, with the way that the shit went down, it's like you should have just killed them both and like you know had it go. It'd been like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, um, but I still thought like the Manhattan, you know, bringing it to New York was sick, and bringing like the old school the old school mask that fucking
Ghostface,
what was it? I can't even
Ghostface.
Billy's no that
Oh, Billy. Oh, yeah, Billy. Yeah, yeah.
Billy Loomis what Billy Loomis was wearing.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'd say like rewatchability, I almost like Totally Killer better than this. But like I know I just kind of I literally the last couple like 2-3 years since Scream 5 came back, I'd been watching the Scream franchise kind of like over and over, like in the background. You know what I mean? Or sometimes I could just get bored. I'm like,
Well, and plus those girls are hot in these movies.
oh, exactly. Jenna Ortega. And plus, I've just always been a huge Scream fan, and
I think
this
you
is
stick J Ortega in anything, and people are gonna watch it.
exactly, dude. And yeah, I was kind of rewatching these movies a lot, but I kind of like, you know, I go through phases where I'll watch movies over and over again, and then I won't watch them for a while. So that's kind of like I'm in the mood right now, but I still did really enjoy it. And yeah, that was Scream 6 would be my number 8.
Yeah, cool.
Sad to see we probably won't get a Scream 7 either because of all the drama.
Oh, we'll get Scream 7. Just by taking longer.
I don't know if I want it, honestly.
All right, my number 8 film is one that Dylan's already talked about, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I'll briefly talk. I liked it because, you know, as Dylan says, we don't get to make creature movies. And this was a way of focusing on that one portion of Dracula I loved for years where they go with the ship. My only complaint with the movie is I wish they found a way to work in Renfield. They left him out, whether it's because we already had a movie because of it or they didn't want to cover that character. I kind of almost wish maybe he was the main character and he would slowly go mad, or at least if he was in there. But other than that, cinematography is great in this movie. All the acting performances are great. The guy that was in Game of Thrones is really good as the captain in this
Yeah,
movie.
so he was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Besides Dracula, he was my favorite.
Yeah, and even the lead, the guy that was in the English guy there.
I only know him from Straight Outta Compton, and he played.
But he's been in tons of
played
other
Dr.
stuff.
Dre.
Yeah. But yeah, he was great in it. You know, I love the whole shipbound setting. All the effects that they did. They had a lot of nice practical effects in the movie. I just enjoyed it. I mean, as an old school Universal horror movie fan, I was really disappointed when it didn't do as well because as I thought it was, because I thought it was a decent movie. So
Right.
my number 8.
I love that ending too. I would have loved to get a sequel because it, like, you know, once you got to the ending, you're like, holy shit, this is like a Nosferatu type.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always just loved that type of Dracula.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am very excited though to get that.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Dracula.
Robert Eggers Nosferatu.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Nosferatu that's in Salem's Lot.
Yes, and that's always been my all-time favorite vampire. That is my all.
That's kind of like what they were going for, I think, the Salem Lot.
And that's why I was like, "Holy shit, bro! It's such a bummer. We'll probably never get a sequel to it. Like, just go straight to Peacock or something. I don't give a fuck. I just need a sequel."
I love that. I love it, and that mixed all that historical stuff too when they're on the ship. I just really loved it.
I love that, man. It was such a blast from the past, and with that atmosphere of the movie, so
Cool. All right, you're number 7.
good. I'd go Evil Dead Rise. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. So I was super pumped for this one because they said they were taking it out of the cabin and it was going to be in a hotel, and I was getting major Demons 2 vibes from this, and I was definitely right about that. But I definitely thought this was another cool ass installment for the Evil Dead franchise, and it was like the guy's first full-time feature film, and I thought he did great. I thought the mom, the redhead, was super creepy as like
From Vikings, yeah, she was good.
Deadite, and a lot of people didn't like the kids. The kids really didn't bug me in this at
No,
all.
not at all. No.
I felt a lot of people were hating on the kids with it. I liked them. I thought they were kind of like, for the type of mom they had, they fit the profile. Were the ones like kind of like, they were kind of like outsider kids, but they banded together as a family.
If anything, the woman's sister, who's the lead, really, she was a little weak. I would have liked to seen.
That would have been my own.
I almost would have wished they switched those roles.
Me too.
And the redhead was the one that
But
was the lead
obviously the
one.
redhead is just so perfect as a Deadite.
Yeah, because she has that look. She has
Yeah.
the
But no,
nature talent.
I always thought the same thing because she was definitely stronger. Yeah, I think that maybe she's just so damn good it takes away from that woman.
I
But
absolutely think so. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely thought it was dope and a nice little installment to the Evil Dead franchise, and I'd be excited to see if we get anything in the future, especially with this being like.
Yeah, the movie did well over 100,000. It's going to get a sequel at some point.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Cool. All right, my number 7, going along kind of like the last one, is this year's Renfield.
Oh my God, I forgot about Renfield.
I really love this movie. I mean, being an old school Universal monster fan, I loved the whole take on it, where they almost like recreating those scenes out of the old Dracula with Nicolas Cage in black and white. They did a great job doing that. I thought Nicolas Cage was fantastic as Dracula. He's just put everything into this movie, and
the man has had a hell of a year, bro.
Yeah, really. All the movies he's in, he gets dragged through the mud so much. He makes a few clinkers, yeah, but he makes a lot more good movies than bad movies. And even his bad movies are watchable. You know, even things I don't like him in is watchable.
Yep.
So I mean, Nicolas Cage just does a great job. Nicholas Hoult does a great job in this movie. He was great as Renfield. The woman that was in what was it, the Eternals? No, she was in
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. I liked her in here. I think she fit in this movie. Yeah. I thought she fit in this movie. She did pretty well.
I was nervous about her at first.
She's comedic wise. I think she has good comedic timing. I think she's better in comedic roles. I thought she did a good job. I love the whole setting with the where they're in where he's in physical therapy and mental therapy, and all the and the way that all plays into it. I love the effectsness when they were showing Nicolas Cage all burnt up. The effects were phenomenal. Everything was done so well. So Renfield is my number 7 to go along with Last Voyage of Demeter. You're number 7, Dylan.
Dude, which, speaking of, before I go to my my number 6, you mean?
6, yeah.
Freaking Nicolas Cage had always wanted to play Dracula, and I was so happy to see him finally get the chance. I wish he would have got like a full-on Dracula star, you know what I mean, where he gets to play, because obviously he's in a third of the movie, a good portion.
He's so good at what he's in, yeah.
He's incredible. He is incredible, and just you can see the passion in it, and the way he looked and the way he played. He fucking so goddamn incredible. I'd love to see him get like a straight up solo Dracula, you know what I mean, where he is the star. I think he did get a great amount. Like, it's not where you're like, oh, I wish he was it. Like, he barely got to be in it. He's in it perfect amount, but it's the perfect amount where you're like,
and what a performance too. He balanced it where he played funny but like very savage at the same time. So
It wasn't like it wasn't goofy where you're like, wait, he's
right.
funny when he needed to be, but like you said, when he needed to be mean, he was savage.
Yeah.
He
So
was
I thought they did a great job. He did a great job with that
I
character.
cannot believe I forgot about Renfield. That would have made my list for sure, dude.
Yeah.
I had a blast with Renfield. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. But
Mhm.
my number 6 would be because I could not believe how much I enjoyed this. Even though I was a fan of the first, but not nearly as much as the second one, and I've just been a huge fan of the look because they were introduced in The Conjuring 2. My number 6 is The Nun 2. I had a blast with this movie, man. I thought it was fucking awesome. Another kind of like, um, it's a Conjuring movie, but it felt different than any of the other ones. And the way they really utilized the nun perfectly in this and did some really awesome stuff. I saw this movie like 2 days in a row. I had such a great time with it. I think they did some great atmosphere with the nun, and they utilized her fully instead of like having her, because obviously she's a demon that could be other things, but it's like we are there for her to be the nun, you know what I mean? And I think the nun is just such an iconic look, man. And like anybody, even if they're not like a horror fan, it's like they know that look, you know what I mean? Almost like with the Terrifier, like people, even if they haven't seen the movies, they know
Right.
it. And that's like, I'd say Terrifier and The Nun are two of these big iconic, IPs that have come out, and their stuff sells so well. Like the girl that plays the nun is like in some suing debacle because she's not getting rights to the merchandise stuff because it's selling so much. It's making so much money. I mean, like those NECAs and stuff.
Right.
You were having trouble finding a NECA for the nun because they were sold out. But I thought the movie was great. Like Maurice was so good. Sister Irene comes back and kills it. And I just thought all the scenes that you get with the nun were just so creepy, man. And I really liked how they utilized her, especially that one scene when she kills the kid and that you get that all like it just goes
Oh yeah.
red. And she snaps the kid's neck. And I was like, when I saw her kill a kid, I was like, oh, hell yeah, man. I was like, they're really going for it. You don't
Movie
get that
serious.
nowadays. But yeah, that'd be
And very early in the movie too, they did it.
yeah, dude. They go all for it, man. And I had a blood. I mean, this is one of those Catholic movies. I mean,
Right.
Exorcist Believer was just such a letdown. So this would be my,
Oh, definitely
I mean,
much better than that.
Exorcist was better than Exorcist
No.
Believer.
No. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Yeah. All right, my number six, getting halfway through the list already almost. So is one that Dylan already had, Evil Dead Rise. I love this movie. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, and I thought this movie had a good vibe to it, very similar to the first film. Had some humor. It had a little bit of humor in there, but they were really going for more like the first movie, and setting it in this building, as Dylan said, where the kid finds the Book of the Dead in the buried basement. And of course, the kids are dumb in this thing. He unleashes the whole power, but they do that in every one of these movies. They're always reading it for no reason. Yeah. But Helen Ash versus Evil Dead, he was getting a fucking blowy, and he was reading it. You haven't watched that show yet, then you should. Ash versus Evil Dead.
Oh, I've seen that.
Oh yeah, but
I love that one. Ash versus Evil Dead is great.
But yeah, I mean, I like the setting. I love the sister who plays the lead Deadite. The kids are good. I love the whole sequence he did in the parking garage when the woman does the old homage with the "come get some" and all that. Yeah, so I mean, I love Evil Dead Rise. Another movie that did tremendous, like well over 100 million at the box office. I know we'll hopefully get more sequels, and I hope they continually change. Because this one did. It didn't just stick in the cabin. It went there, and then it went to the lake, and then from the lake it went to the high rise. From the high rise, it went back to the lake, and it was interesting. They're kind of moving around more.
Helping to start it off was pretty nice.
Right, and then maybe we'll get it more into the city in the next one. That would be great to see different locations where the Evil Dead pop up.
Yeah, which that's like Evil Dead. Ash versus Evil Dead is
right.
Just at the cabin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Brought it out to the forefront.
So Evil Dead Rise is one of my top films of the year. Number 6 on my list. I love it. I want more from it. So Dylan, we're halfway through the list here.
Number
In a
5.
half an hour, not doing too bad. Yeah, so number 5. Man.
So my number 5 is kind of another one of those demon type movies, man. And I had heard about this coming straight to Shudder, and then you actually were able to watch it before me, and then me and you ended up watching it together and had a blast kind of bullshitting through it. And this is When Evil Lurks, man. What is this? Argentinian, like an Argentinian film or
It's
something?
Argentinian, yeah.
Yeah, this movie was fucking gnarly, bro. I thought this movie was fantastic. Just another movie that never got a theatrical release, at least in the States. Maybe in Argentina it got, I'm sure it might have
Yeah,
went
because the director did one other movies that was pretty popular.
Terrified.
Right.
And that was
So
a huge movie, another huge Shudder exclusive movie.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. And yeah, the When Evil Lurks, man, was just great, man. What was it? They got these weird people kind of being inhabited by these demons, and you can't kill them, otherwise it'll just transfer to somebody else.
yeah, they call them Rottens, the Rottens.
Yeah, dude, this movie was gnarly though, dude. I you get this girl that literally stabs her, takes an axe and oh my god, man, just literally smashes an axe in the front of her skull. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this film. I had heard a lot about it, and I thought it was gonna be, yeah, this is gonna be, but this is up there with like Train to Busan and all that. You know what I mean? This movie was fucking awesome, dude. And I really don't even want to get into much because I feel like just going to this, not knowing anything like I did, I just had heard some hype when it was going to be, I'd heard this big, overseas movie would be coming to Shudder. And once I, checked it out, I was not disappointed one bit. Yeah, I had a blast with it.
Cool. And we both said that there's so much that could be done with this movie. They could go past this movie. They could kind of explain the whole
yeah, because it
movies.
kind of just drops you right into the
Right. It builds a world, this whole world building, how they come to be, All right, cool. So his number 5 was When Evil Lurks. Go check it out and Shudder. It's a great movie. My number 5 also, it'll be a lot of movies on this list. Me and Dylan probably gonna interchange a lot. And this is one a lot like When Evil Lurks. No, or maybe I'll take that back. Very limited to no theatrical. It did get out, I think, in a few areas, but for a very short time, and then wound up on, I believe, Shudder and straight to video. My number 5 is Cobweb, and to me, this is one of the top. This was like before the last quarter of the year, which ended strong.
Yeah,
Cobweb was close. It was either gonna be number 2 and number 1. And it kept on getting bumped down, and now it's my number 5 to show you where things ended up. But Cobweb, I think, is another one of these great movies where it has great performances from Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, and who's the girl that's in this one too?
Fuck, what's her name?
She's a big actress. And
she played the younger version of freaking what's it from Misery?
Yeah.
Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie Kaplan. I mean, and then in this movie all revolves around a child. So I won't give away too much of the plot because we're hoping you guys go watch these movies. But the child actor in this movie was fantastic. I mean, when you got a movie that's based around a child actor, he has to be able to hold these scenes, and he has some really intense scenes, and he pulls it off. And the 2 older actors are great. There's twists in this movie. There's great photography, great cinematography. This sets kind of a world up too, and I just thought this was a hell of a movie. It's set around Halloween, so it's one of these movies that you can watch for your annual Halloween movie.
Fairy tale type.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal film, Cobweb. And it was up high. Now it's number 5 to show you what else came above it. But Cobweb is my number 5, and I love it. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a great flick.
Hell yeah.
You're number 5, though. We're number 4, actually.
Number 4.
Wow.
Yeah. This one, though, you had told me this was like always really high up there for me. This was it was right up there with me as well. But it's like you said, more stuff kept coming, and I was like, damn, but I want to keep it here. But I was like, it kept getting So like 1 to 5, man, you could almost switch these movies around it depending on the day you
Yeah.
feel.
At least 2 to 5, I feel in mine. You could.
Yeah, like I said, 2 to 4 were my hardest, where it's like I could almost bunch them and have them be a tie altogether. So my number 4 would be Dark Harvest. I thought this movie, directed by David Slade, the guy who did 30 Days a Night, great atmosphere, a lot of Pumpkinhead homages in this. This is just a type of movie that we like. I feel like you've never seen before, but it takes some homages out of stuff like Pumpkinhead and like the Warriors and all, some great homages to stuff, but it felt like its own thing that we just don't see anymore. You know what I mean? This movie was so unique and the atmosphere was great. The main kid in this was awesome, dude, and they get to wear these kind of cool skeleton masks for a bit, and it looked incredible, dude. And the twist in this, another one of those small town community movies like Stephen King, where everybody knows everybody, and they got this purge like activity going on every once a year with the kids, and they starve their kids out for 3 days before they let them run amok on the city to go hunt this creature. And
Another movie, by the way, that we did a review on. Go watch it because it's
definitely go check that out. Dude, just a fucking awesome movie. Never got a theatrical release, still hasn't gotten a Blu-ray release, and
I
it's
think
been out quite some time. Such a shame. I mean, this movie was my number 1 at one point. It's gotten dropped down. Like I said, this movie could be my number 2. Honestly, like my number 2 could be tied with 3 movies. So like even this being number 4, it's really almost my number 2 because I love this movie so much, and it was so hard to kind of twist these around. And like I said, tomorrow it could be my number 2, and my number 2 could be my number 4. Like it's so hard with me.
cool. So that's your number 4 is Dark Harvest.
Yeah.
All right. My number 4, Dylan mentioned a few minutes ago. Boy, our lists are kind of interchanging, just dropping all over the place. But is Where Evil Lurks. I love this movie. I saw it. I think Dylan originally recommended I check it out, and when I watched it, I thought, another one of these movies, and like Cobweb, and like Dark Harvest, it builds its own world. This When Evil Lurks, without giving away too much, this whole demon mythology that this world exists in is different than our own. They kind of built it, and it works by certain rules, and they drop you right in, and they kind of feed you these rules as they go along. What's really happening with these demons and these dead people, and it revolves around 2 brothers. And the acting in this movie, I tell you, we'll talk about further. Watching subtitled movies versus watching movies that are dubbed. And after I watch a movie a few times, if it's subtitled, I almost want to watch a dub because I might put it on and I might be busy doing other things. But when I first watch these movies, I really want to watch them subtitled because the performances,
You get more into it.
you get more into it when it's the original actors. And these 2 guys really put on even though I couldn't understand a fucking word they said, they put on such a great performance as these 2 brothers that go around almost like supernatural fighting demons, without wanting to, but just having to, and in essence, creating their own problems because of what they're doing, what they don't know. It's just a great movie. It won't like Dark Harvest and other movies. Originally, this was way up on my list, and it dropped down. But number 4 for me is Where Evil Lurks. One of the movies I'll still be thinking about after this year's over with, because all those scenes where you get some practical effects, you get the acid in the face, you got all the other deaths that come in this movie, that great effects, great atmosphere. So number 4, Where Evil Lurks, great movie.
Hell yeah. So my number 3 would be Cobweb. Like you said, great world building in this. Anthony Starr is incredible. Lizzie Kaplan, creepy ass mother, and the boy holds his own. He's not annoying at all. It's got that awesome grim fairy tale, atmosphere going for it. and I loved the kills in this. I loved kind of like the creature in this. I thought this movie could be split into two movies and it could go either one way or the other. You could get one movie with the one half and another, movie with the other half. And so I heard some people hating on that, but I think that's where a lot of the charm of this comes from, because you almost think, oh, it's going this way, and it goes another way, and it
Right.
surprises you and it does something different. And that's the thing with a lot of these movies. They didn't do just the same run of the mill shit, because if it did that, it'd be we know what's gonna happen.
It'd be a Hollywood movie, and none of these
Exactly.
movies
And this is
are.
a little
Yeah.
bit more independent, even though it was produced by Seth Rogen and his buddies, but
Right.
didn't really. I think it might have
A big studio, though.
it
Yeah.
was in the theaters for like a weekend. You know what I mean? So this was not a big theater or big studio or anything. I think this movie has been really slept on. I heard so much good things, and then some people I guess didn't like it as much. Like I said, because it felt like it was split in two. But I feel like if you see, like, once it's coming at you, you already know, so that you need that twist. Otherwise, you're like, I already knew what was gonna happen the whole time. So you need that cool twist to happen for it to be like, oh shit, But if you don't, I get into these type of grim fairy tale movies,
Right.
and I love shit like that. So for me, I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. But and I thought Anthony Starr and Lizzie Kaplan, dude, they're incredible for the roles that they were given. So yeah, I thought it was a blast, man. And I love the atmosphere, and like you said, it's around Halloween time too, so it's a perfect kind of throw on in October and watch it.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed it. I thought it was fun though. I thought it was a blast.
Yeah. Right. So number 3, for me, once again, another movie you can throw on around October, another Halloween movie we got this year, and that's Dark Harvest. Dylan already talked about it. This movie was going to be number 1 on my list for a long time. I think this movie is fantastic. It melds like an old 50s type outsiders, warriors vibe with this whole really almost like a Pumpkinhead type of vibe, mixed with kind of with the Purge, but once again, like all the movies we talked on this list, like Cobweb and like Where Evil Lurks, this movie exists in its own world and has its own set of rules that they slowly kind of from the beginning show you how all this whole thing works. And then you get very involved with the characters in this movie. I think the kid who plays the kid is great. I think what's his face that played the father that was in Justified and a few of those other shows. I forget his name, the father in that movie, but he was fantastic. The whole cast is fantastic. The monster is great. You remember him. So Dark Harvest, I tell you, it's just, if you have not seen this, that's probably my one I would recommend the most on my list to go see. Once again, independent movie like Cobweb or like Weaver Lurks. And it's just a great flick, and hardly in the theaters, if at all. It really rivaled.
At least.
To get that high up to number 3 is you're doing something right. It's a great flick. Dark Harvest.
Jeremy Davies.
Jeremy Davies was great in it too.
That's the this you're talking about, right?
Right, and this is the movie where you could get a part 3, or let me see, a part 2 that
Prequel.
that goes ahead, or it could even be a prequel. How did this whole system get set up, and go maybe with the younger version of the Jeremy Davies character?
There's a lot of stuff that isn't even explained, and I think that's another awesome thing.
Right.
That,
so you could spin another couple movies. I don't think it'll happen, but man, I'd love to see it happen. Dark Harvest, my number 3, and can you believe it, Dylan? We're up to the top 2 movies of the year, so that's astounding.
Hell yeah!
So for you, you're number 2.
Yeah, my number 2, and this one was a lot higher up on my list until, like, I wouldn't say high up. It was probably like my 5, until I'd given it, because in theater I'm not good with accents and all that. And when I went back and rewatched it at home, I really enjoyed it a lot more. But like I said, tomorrow this could be my number 4. You know what I mean? But it's still, like I said, the 2, 3, and 4 are like tied for 2. But I still couldn't believe how much I've grown to really fucking love this movie. And after I rewatched it at home, I ended up watching this movie like 4 times in 1 week. Diving into behind the scenes, diving into the directors who were big YouTubers before they came out with this movie. And my number 2 is Talk to Me. I know it's a number 1 for a lot of people, and for a while this would have been like my number 4 or 5, and I was super solid about that. And I was like, yeah, I think it's fantastic, but I don't think it's number 1 like everyone else was saying. I still wouldn't say this is my number 1 by any means, but I think this is a fantastic film, very unique, and I cannot wait to see what they do with the sequel. And I picked up on a lot more of the subtleties that they had that I really couldn't. I had a shitty movie theater experience too with it, so that with
Yeah,
that,
definitely a movie that benefits from subtitles.
yeah, and that I always have to have subtitles no matter what, let alone if they got thick Australian accents. And I really think this movie is really awesome, man. And yeah, very unique idea. These kids just going out partying and kind of getting hooked on drugs, but instead they're getting hooked on
Talking to the dead.
talking to the dead, but being possessed by a demon. They get like a high off of getting possessed by these demons by grabbing a hold of this fake mannequin hand and saying, talk to me and I let you in. And after they let go, if they don't have the candle blown out within 60 seconds or whatever, the demon's going to want to stay with them. But once they blow the candle out, they're like, oh my God, that felt incredible. So it's they're getting like a high off this, and I thought that was really cool aspect. But it's just to say, man, that sometimes giving something like if you didn't giving it that second chance can really kind of boost your experience or what you might think and pick up on subtleties that you weren't able to on the first watch. Because sometimes you're not thinking like, oh, this is what
Right.
kind of leads into that. Sometimes you're just watching and just going with the flow, and then but I really was surprised how much this blew me away on my second watch. And I respect the YouTubers that put this out, man, and I can't wait to see the sequel. And it was fun kind of diving into the directors, man, and kind of seeing where they've come from and how big they've gotten, man. So I kind of give them a round of applause just for that, to become like YouTubers like me and you, to making this huge feature film that
Right.
picked up by
Yeah, because there was a YouTube version of this film. I think there was like a short.
I don't know.
I think there was a
about
short
that. I know
version of
that's
this.
the case with the Jester, that movie. I
Yeah.
don't know about this one.
I think there was a short version of it, and then they expanded it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't make my list, to be honest with you. But I did enjoy it.
About Smile. Smile had a short film that got expanded
I
into.
thought this did though too, but it could be possible.
I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that because I had to watch it, but I know for sure Smile and but I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't make my list, but it'd be just right below it. I did like the movie. I did thought it was good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Top 2 coming up to number 2. This was gonna be number 1 on my list for a while, but it did get bumped down, and that's our friend Eli Roth back with a big movie this year, probably the biggest horror movie of the year, Thanksgiving. This movie was fantastic. Eli Roth did not disappoint in this movie. He took what was a joke in Grindhouse and elaborated upon it and made a really great horror movie. Now, granted, there's a lot of stuff it reminds me of. It does have elements of Scream in it, of course, and other movies. Halloween. But hey, what horror movie to this day is not going to have that? Exactly. What he does do is he establishes a very good horror icon.
He's been wanting to do a slasher whodunit like Scream and Halloween his entire career, and he's finally got to do it, 20 years into his career.
Yeah. So he established a great horror icon in John Carver. His scenes are great. All the stuff, the kills are fantastic in this movie. There's great amounts of gore. The whole scene cooking the woman, I won't forget that, serving her up to her husband, sticking a hand in her mouth. I mean, some people think he went too far in this movie. I don't think he went too far. No. I think he
could have went farther.
It could have almost been farther, but this movie will get you by the balls. It has some of the best 15 first minutes of any movie I've seen this year. The whole setup in the store for Black Friday is so good. It could almost be a movie on its own.
Yeah.
and it's a great hook to get you into this whole horror movie. So Thanksgiving will be on a regular rotation now. It's the number one, the best Thanksgiving movie, surpassing them all. And I know it's getting a sequel. That's going to be great. Anytime you get a new horror icon, we got Art the Clown. Now we got John Carver. It's saying something. So my number two, Thanksgiving,
Especially
great
since
movie.
we've had the same iconic slashers for the last 20, 30 years.
Right.
And now we're finally getting a couple, like all the ones that we got, they never stuck. You know what I mean? Like since Michael, Jason, Freddy, and like any of the new guys never really stuck, you know? So it was cool to finally see that we've gotten a couple of Terrifier and John Carver. I knew, like, at first I was like very iffy, and then once I saw it in theaters, I was like, this is iconic. This is awesome.
And the merch for this movie is gonna be huge, just like the Nun was. Everything that's John Carver related, man, it's not coming out to like almost the summer, but it's all sold out.
I
So you
know.
can tell this movie was popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, I should have worn my Thanksgiving shirt.
Yeah,
man.
you have a really good one.
My number one is Thanksgiving, man. Favorite movie of the year. My jaw was dropped to the floor in my theater seat after the first 15 minutes of this movie. That
Right.
opening Black Friday scene, I was like, I'm in heaven, dude. Because with slasher, especially like, Scream slasher movies, they're not very gory or bloody. So this took like Scream and threw in that goriness that we love from Eli Roth. And I was like, this is why I've always loved Eli Roth. Obviously, we've gotten more goriness from him, like in Hostel and stuff. And that's why I say we could have got more for sure. But there is so much uniqueness from him in this that it's not like, yes, we get homages from Halloween and, this and that. But his kills were all unique. You're chuckling throughout the film when
Right.
you think you shouldn't be, but it's just, dude, he knows how to bring awesome kills and levity at that same time.
And some movies couldn't.
But just not as goofy, like with the Victor Crowley stuff where you
Right.
get crazy over the top kills,
Right.
which you get that, but I think Adam Green's adds a little bit more comedy in this, but I just thought the characters in this were great. You don't hate any of them. I absolutely loved the whole, finally getting the Grindhouse movie that we've been waiting for since the trailer. And if you go back and watch the Grindhouse trailer for Thanksgiving, he actually kept a lot of
Pretty
stuff.
close.
He
Close.
kept it really faithful. Which I think the guy that wrote the script for the trailer wrote the full script, so it's like they still kept that same team where it's not like they just veer. And this is
and some movies that have such
later.
some movies that have such a good opening, it would be hard to top that first 15 minutes. But man, he tops it. He goes out, everything he betters it.
Yeah.
The movie gets better as it goes along.
I thought the twist was fantastic. I was like, this guy, because there's red herrings all over the place, and you're like, it can't be. It's so obvious. And then, but it is. I thought it was fantastic, man. I had such a blast. I think that John Carver look is so iconic. And I was like, maybe we won't get a sequel. But even if not, I was like, this is so iconic. Like that, But I was like, we got to get a sequel. But you know what I mean? And it looks like we're getting one. And Eli Roth's still writing it at least. And I think the merch for this is just so awesome. I couldn't be more happy with what came out with this movie, man. And 15 years later, was it worth the wait? I think so, man. And
well, definitely. I mean, it's second on my list, so it's in the top, number one for you, number two for me. So,
good, man, it's so damn good.
And obviously, movies. Some of the movies are low on the list. Disadvantage. Obviously, this was a studio movie. Sony put it out. Had a pretty big budget. So, but still, I think as a mainstream movie, it did a great job. It got a lot of people that maybe weren't expecting it to be as gory as it was in the theater, and I think it just gave us a good old fashioned, as good as the '80s horror movie. on this list this year. So I mean, it's a great flick.
Eli Roth's one of us, man. He loves this shit just like us. He's just fortunate enough to be able to direct.
Yeah, and he doesn't direct a lot of movies, so when he does, he makes
He
sure
produces a lot more.
right,
Yeah.
he puts a stamp on what he does.
Yeah.
So so Thanksgiving, you're number one, man. I can't believe we got through this quick. But my number one was gonna be Thanksgiving. It was up there very much until the end of the year. The only movie I think we didn't get to see this year that's coming out next week is that Night Swim by A24, and that's a PG-13. It could have been good, maybe it would have been, but Night Swim came out too fucking late
or something, maybe. But
right.
it's Blumhouse, so
yeah, it's Blumhouse. So there you go. But my number one came out late. It really has surged and become almost the number one movie of the year. It got people in the theater that wouldn't normally go see this type of movie. It equaled and in some respect almost bettered the original version of this movie from 1954, which is on the top 100 films of all time. It's a stone classic. And I think over time, this movie's going to become a stone classic because it's kind of an updating reboot, but holds true to the spirit of the original. And that's Godzilla -1, which has slowly earned like $80,000 in America, where 80 million that wasn't even going to be that wasn't even going to be released, and now it's been extended to like New Year's. It's done so well. This movie takes everything that was good in the original Godzilla movie, talking about war, talking about honor, talking about people surviving in wartime, and it just amplifies it, mixes everything in. It gives us a good story about a family, a good story about a love story, good family story between friends. It mixes the war in, and a man who feels unfulfilled to the point where he's going to kill himself, that he didn't get to live up to his promise in the war, who gets redemption through this. And then it mixes Godzilla in too. And it does a great job of mixing him in from the first scene of this movie where he's just a dinosaur before he mutates, to the last scene of the movie. Godzilla in this, and even Dylan maybe said to me, science fiction is horror. This, like the original, is a horror movie. Godzilla is a fucking bad motherfucker.
I forgot about this one too.
He's mean. He's out. He's a force of nature. He's out to destroy. He looks evil. They get several scenes where he's looking at this movie. There's one great scene in the movie after he sets off a nuclear explosion with his ray. He's just sitting back and like almost smiling at what he did. But we get an ending in this that comes out of nowhere. We do get kind of redemption story. The story is so good. These characters, unlike a lot of movies in Godzilla movies, you don't care about the movies. Even the old ones, and especially the new ones that have shit characters and just has turned Godzilla. I don't know if you saw the latest trailer. Godzilla and Kong are running like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Godzilla can barely get out of his own fucking way. He doesn't have to because he has that ray breath. And they've turned into an action movie, and I enjoy those movies. But this movie was so good. I mean, right from the opening scene that takes place in World War II and follows through the story of this guy for several years of his life, where he gets a family, he gets on a boat with friends, how they have to tackle this whole force of nature of Godzilla. It's just a great movie, and I've seen it twice now. I can't wait to own it and see it again. A movie that is subtitled, but I don't know how you watch this movie the first time and not have the subtitles, because these characters' voices and just the whole drama in their voices, everything, you really need that. I can't talk high enough about how the scenes where he's destroying the island is. The destruction in this movie is just off the wall. They say the budget of this movie is $15 million, and it's taken over 154 million worldwide. It's just astounding. It really showed what a good story can do to a genre picture. And this movie's almost gonna be like the Titanic of its generation. People who don't like monster movies are going to see this movie for the other story. And I just love it. So my number one of the year is Godzilla -1. I think I hit the keyboard somehow. So. but Godzilla minus one is my number one of the year.
Hell yeah.
And Dylan, can you believe we got through under an hour a top 10 list? I never thought we'd do it. We did a fantastic job. But we got honorable mentions, movies that just couldn't fit on our top 10, and we have top 3 honorable mentions. And I'm going to let Dylan go ahead and give his first number 3 honorable mention.
Yeah, if I kind of wasn't thinking about Godzilla as like a straight up run of the mill horror movie, but it definitely does have that. It is a monster movie, so I'd go. That would probably be on my list. I just kind of didn't think of it, but yeah, I'd throw Godzilla minus one as an honorable mention for sure. But that would probably be my number one honorable mention. But I don't think it matters without.
No, but give us your other 3. What 3 did you have? Or give us number 3 honorable mention.
Or are we gonna just do all 3, or just
no? Do your bottom third, and then we'll work our way up like the same thing.
I get Infinity Pool.
Okay, cool.
That was a good one. At first I didn't really care for it, but I kind of fell asleep the first time watching it, and I rewatched it, and I liked it a lot more. Very trippy. Cronenberg's son doing it, and
right.
Very different than a lot of the shit we were.
Yeah.
But it was good. But yeah, I think Godzilla minus one would be my number one honorable mention for sure, because it would be in my top 5 without a doubt. Right. But I'm thinking like classic horror movies too. But I know that is definitely got that monster movie.
My number 3 honorable mention was on Dylan's list. Didn't make my top 10, but it's in my bomb third. Scream 6. I definitely liked it better than Scream 5. I thought it was a better movie. Love me some Jenna Ortega, man. She can be in anything. She's fantastic. It has issues without a doubt. I love the setting in New York. I didn't like the fact that basically nobody dies, and the villains were really they were great characters until they became villains, and then they became caricatures of villains. But Scream 6 is definitely my number 3 in my honorable mentions. I enjoyed it, and I'd like to see a part 7. So what's your number 2 honorable mention?
I go VHS 85. Been getting like a sequel. We've been getting, since I think they started with the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, it's like 9 of these movies, weren't there? 9.
Yeah, there's a good amount, but they started off with this new where it started off with like VHS 99, then it went to 88, and now we've gone to 85. But we've been getting one on Shudder like every Halloween season. And I thought 85 was actually really good. It had a lot of good directors attached to it, like the guy who did, Hellraiser, the Hulu one, and a few other guys. And I thought it was pretty fun, man. A little short, one of those anthology shot on videotapes. They're always fun if you like that kind of stuff, if you're a fan of the series. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty good one.
Cool. All right, my number 2 honorable mention came out pretty early in the year. I think it was out in May. Is The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe.
That one too.
I really enjoyed that movie. Once again, another religious movie that's loosely based on the life of a real guy. But I thought Russell Crowe was great in it. His accent was a little wonky, kind of Father Guido Sarducci, but I still thought he did a pretty good job. I love the creature in this, and the whole religious exorcism part of it. So Pope's Exorcist, I thought did pretty well. People seem to have liked it, so it's my number 2. What's your number 2?
You mean my number 1?
Oh yeah, okay, number 1. I forgot where we go. Your number 1.
That's the whole time.
Yep.
My number 1 would. I was almost gonna see this in theaters because I was gonna get a free ticket, but I couldn't through Blumhouse, but I wasn't able to make it because it ended up being on a Wednesday, and I usually go to the theaters on Thursday or Friday. But this was a Blumhouse slasher and the Scream homage type thing that really threw me back, because I didn't think I'd like it nearly as much as I would, because I thought it'd be just totally goofy and cheesy, but totally killer. Ended up being a really fun, like Back to the Future meets Scream slasher movie. And I definitely recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime if you have it to watch for free, and it was fun. It was good. I had a blast with it. It's definitely a fun rewatchable one. It's one of those Blumhouse, if you like Freaky and some of those good, like sillier slasher ones that they do that are a little less tame but they're fun. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. My number one is Infinity Pool. It was on, I don't think it was on Dylan's list. Was it on your list? Yes, it was on your list, was it? No, it wasn't.
No,
You said it would. Yeah, you said it would be. Yeah, Infinity Pool is my number one honorable mention. I really like this film. It was very different. I thought it had an interesting story. It delved into some nightmare dreams. I recommend getting the uncut version so you can see Mia Goth get the money shot, which is always good. But I enjoyed it. What's that?
love Mia Goth.
They're gonna say, "Let me some money shot."
Oh, I got the uncut version, baby.
Okay. But the old Jerk the Gherkins version, Steelbook. Yeah, so I thought it was an interesting movie. I love Mia Goth in it. I love the guy from True Blood, who was the lead guy. It was just good. I mean, I just enjoyed it. It was different Cronenberg, and different Cronenberg's usually pretty good. So my number one honorable mention.
Yeah.
So great. This list in an hour and 6 minutes, I think we did an outstanding job done. And there's some really great movies. I mean, the top 5, Cobweb, for me, Cobweb When Evil Lurks, Dark Harvest, Thanksgiving, and Godzilla. Can't ask for better than that, man. It's a great year. In a year when Renfield and The Last Voyage of the Demeter and Nun 2 could be down the bottom of my list, it's just amazing. So, great year. I don't know what 24 will hold. I know we got a lot of good movies coming out. And we're continuing to get stuff on Screenbox and Shudder and stuff like that, Peacock, Hulu. So we're going to get some good stuff. It's probably more Predator movies are coming and Alien series is coming, movie. So your final thoughts there, Dylan, what you thought 23 and then what if anything you're looking forward to in 24?
Yeah, just a good year. A lot better than 2023. A lot of good shit for sure, man.
Yeah, 2022 was a great year, and I thought 2023 even bettered it. So
exactly. Yeah, so just can't wait to see what 2024 comes. I don't really know of much, honestly, because of all the strikes. So we'll see.
Right.
But hopefully we get another.
Yeah, but fortunately, so many of these movies come out from independent studios that we might see a few.
Yeah.
If not for the Hollywood stuff, we'll see the independent. So, man, thank you for coming on. This is great. We finally got done. Wanted to be bringing this top 10. I really had great time talking about these movies that we all love seeing. We all watch during the year, because usually if you go see something, I go see something. It's usually in my wheelhouse.
Oh yeah.
Very few things that I didn't see that you saw. So
exactly.
Yeah, and even a movie like The Blackening, which came out this year, that was a good movie, did make my list. So
yeah.
I mean,
that got like a high ass Rotten Tomatoes score too.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that came out that didn't even make the list for me. So just shows you what a good year is.
Yeah.
We got some great stuff coming in 24. Dylan's gonna be kicking that off with some Dylan horror shows in a couple weeks, and all sorts of good stuff coming up. We're gonna do some movie reviews. Hopefully, me and my boy Dylan. We got more Bond coming out. Just dropped Moonraker. Dylan will be dropping that soon, and then we'll be doing For Your Eyes Only. I'm dropping shorts all the time. Dylan and I will hopefully be doing some live streams together, and should be a good year. Should be a good year.
Yeah, I hope we get another good year with horror. Without a doubt. I look forward to that alien movie from Fede Alvarez, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And hopefully do another Predator movie soon too, because I loved Prey. That was a great movie.
Yeah, I hope we get a sequel to that Hellraiser from Hulu.
When did Prey come out? Did Prey come out this year or last year?
Nah, bro, that's been out like
that was out last year. Okay,
that's probably 2022.
Okay, yeah. All right, time flies.
Maybe even 2021.
Guys,
we feel like that because you got the Steelbook finally.
Right. Yeah, it took a long time for that to come out.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate you spending a little time doing this? Because I had fun
And
doing
you
it.
know, I was looking for. We went to see all these movies, every week, so we had to review them.
That's right. We
It was a
reviewed a
great
lot of
year.
them. It
Great
was
year.
great doing the ones that we didn't review, at least talking about them a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Hey guys, hey, well, thank everybody for coming in. Everybody that's watching in the premiere in the chat, I'm glad you're doing that. Stay tuned on Dylan's channel. We're coming up for more stuff in 24. Look forward to me dropping some more shorts all the time. And until then, I want to say happy horror 2023, man. It's a good year.
Horror days.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Peace out.